All right. All right. Now, let's get into this. As the card is still underway, yes, I'm going to produce content while a UFC card is underway. And the UFC can take that as my way of showing how I don't appreciate the fact that there are no WMMA fights on this card. So you give me no content. So since you're not giving me any content, I'm going to produce it. Okay, you failed to provide content. See, usually I talk about the fight, and understand, every time I talk about an upcoming fight, I'm promoting the UFC at that point. Whenever I talk about upcoming fights, I'm actually promoting the fighter and promoting UFC as a brand. I'm promoting ESPN. Free of charge. Y'all don't pay me. You see? So I have to deduct. I have to penalize you when you don't provide for me. But anyways, Valentina recently did an interview. And I always keep up with these interviews. These interviews shortly before a fight. That is routine here. And she said a few things in this interview that I want to respond to. I have to respond to some things that she has said here. Let me get rid of some of this nonsense. Get down to business here. Make sure my camera, everything working right. Got all my windows right. We should be good to go. Okay, you should be looking at Valentina on the screen. There you go. Yeah. Now listen to this. Whoa, 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 whoa. This, okay.
Rematch playing out on September 16th. How do you see the fight going in the main event?
It's only one. I go there for the victory. I go there to destroy my opponent. I go there to play. I go there not to joke around. I go there to take what is mine and show there not the best version, as the greatest version of me.
Man, she said a mouthful right there. It's a very short moment of her talking, but she said a mouthful. It didn't even last 30 seconds. And I want to unpack that.
The rematch playing out on September 16th. How do you see the fight going in the main event?
It's only one. I go there for the victory. I go there to destroy my opponent.
She said, I go there to destroy my opponent. Leaving the fight unlike how they were when they came to it. Now, I believe this is exactly how she should fight. She should fight as if she's trying to destroy Alexa Grasso. I think that is the best way to fight Grasso if you can't overpower her with your wrestling. And I don't think Shevchenko can. Not with Alexa Grasso. For whatever reason, they're pretty evenly matched. They fairly even. Now, Shevchenko, she can take Grasso down. She can take her down. But Grasso can get back up. And she can fight off some of those. She can stuff some of those takedowns like she did in the first fight. Now, after a round or two, Shevchenko get a little tired. She might not have that energy. She might not be able to. She might have to strike. So when she strikes with Grasso, she cannot be messing around. Grasso's not the type of fighter that you can afford to have a very slow-paced chess match in terms of striking. I think you really got to overwhelm her You got to overwhelm Grasso. Bottom line is, Valentina needs to stop. Listen to what she says here.
I go there to play. I go there not to joke around.
She said, I go there to play. Now, I know there's a language thing. She said, I go there to play. I take that as her meaning, I go there I think she meant, like, I go there to compete. I've heard a lot of foreigners refer to fighting in a cage as a game. Play the game. You know, different terminologies. But I think that's what she meant. And then she said, I go there not to joke around. That's how she should fight. That's how she has to fight. That is her key to victory. She has to fight as if she is not playing around. That patient style of hers. I recently rewatched that fight. Valentina was so unaggressive in that fight. It was almost painful to watch. It was almost disappointing to see how much she lacked aggression. She would wait like 20 seconds and then throw a jab. Like, really? Wait 20 more seconds. Throw one kick and it's, way off the mark, and it's almost like she wasn't even putting forth real effort to connect with some of these shots, with some of them. It was like, and even that's unlike Shevchenko. Now, I know it's pretty common in WMMA, but not for certain fighters. Some fighters are above average. Shevchenko's one of them. That's not something I would expect from her. And, her offense was just not destructive enough for Grasso. In fact, Valentina's offense, her offensive arsenal, her attacks, were so non-aggressive and tolerable for Grasso that I feel Grasso was very confident striking with Shevchenko. And she wanted to strike with Shevchenko. That's a bad sign when a fighter wants to strike with you. Generally, fighters get tired of striking with Shevchenko because they can't hit her. And they themselves are constantly getting hit. And they want to take the fight to the ground. Poor Chikagian, she couldn't get it to the ground, but she was getting tore up on the feet. But you saw she like pulled guard. She was desperate to get the fight to the ground, Chikagian. Pulled guard. But Shevchenko was willing to go to the ground with Chikagian. Okay, Valentina has to not play around.
The rematch playing out on September 16th. How do you see the fight going in the main event?
It's only one. I go there for the victory. I go there to destroy my opponent. I go there to play. I go there not to joke around. I go there to take what is mine and show not the best version, as the greatest version of me.
She said her plan is to show the greatest version of herself, which is the same thing I said that she needs to do to take this belt back. To take this belt back, she has to be more aggressive than we've typically seen her. Not to be a whole different fighter. Not to go out there and go buck wild and totally forget about who she is. She's never been the type to disregard defense. It's just not championship material to be defensively irresponsible. I'm not saying to do that. But I think she needs to be more aggressive, noticeably more aggressive than we've seen her in the past. I think she needs to do that to take that belt back, because I think that's the only way she can win a decision. I don't think that she can look the same as she has in the past over 5 rounds and win a decision. No way. No way. That Valentina is not destructive enough. Now, against Chookagian, Valentina's offense was a lot more destructive because she was landing flush on Chukagian. She really was landing flush. Well, she wasn't really landing as flush on Grasso. And Chukagian just couldn't take them. She couldn't take those shots. Had a bigger impact on her. Plus, Chukagian's frame is longer, lankier. It don't respond as well as a small, tight, compact frame like Grasso. So Valentina's shots didn't have as much effect on Grasso. Her heat, the offensive arsenal, the heat coming from Shevchenko wasn't hot enough. And it needs to be hotter. And she needs to make an impression on the judges that she has not only improved, but she's taking the right steps to get the belt back. She's doing what she's supposed to do to get the belt back if it goes to a decision. And really, if there's a stoppage, you would expect the fighter who get the stoppage to be aggressive. It's usually, especially with the women, it's rare that they just get a one-strike knockout. That's almost unheard of in WMMA. That they'll hit their opponent once, opponent drops, fight is over. Or at least as close to over as it gets. No, it's not going to happen. When women stop their opponent by TKO or KO, it's usually TKO. They're hitting them. Then the ref jumps in and stops the fight. I believe that's Valentina's best. When she attacks Grasso, I think it needs to be in flurries. And she needs to overwhelm Grasso. Test Grasso out, see how Grasso responds to flurries, to combinations. And I think Shevchenko should try to get away with as much as possible. Go for a two-strike combination. See how she responds to that. Then try to slide in a third. If Grasso responds to that third strike accordingly, slide in a fourth. She has to make her offense look far superior to Grasso's. See, Grasso is a 1-2 fighter as well. Y'all both go in there, both of y'all throwing 1-2s, and, one lands every now and then, and, both of you are landing periodically. They're going to give it to the champion. If the fight looks kind of close, it's kind of evenly killed, both fighters throwing shots, 1-2, 1-2, no. The fighter who wins is the one throwing 3-4 strike combinations, who's stepping in and being more aggressive. Man, like I said, it's a true test of her grit. Valentina needs to show aggression in this fight. I don't think there's no way she can win without being aggressive. There's no way around it. She's not going to win no decision without being aggressive. Going backwards, moving laterally, tap, tap, fighting the way she's been fighting, tap, tap. No, she needs to be teeing off. She needs to tee off on these chicks. Valentina has to crank up her aggression. Her competition is cranking up the aggression. Her competition is getting better. She needs to put everybody back in their place. I'm just saying what needs to be done for her. If she wants to be the queen in this division, she got to take respect back. She got to get the respect back that she lost after being choked out and tapped, humiliated. She needs to make a very big statement here, because right now, these girls not even paying attention to her. They've pretty much forgotten about Valentina Shevchenko. Basically, that's how much they're not worried about losing to Valentina. They are far more confident now than they've ever been. Valentina needs to make a huge statement. If she gets that title back, she needs to make a huge statement.
How much did training in Thailand kind of light a fire under you? You mentioned all the success you've had training there in the past. And I know it's a martial arts lifestyle there compared to, say, training in other places, right? Like, you live and breathe training. Like, did that sort of ignite you a little bit, this camp?
Yes, it's kind of like when you are
Wait,
reliving.
would you ever fight
You
Rose?
two have ever fought each other? I know you have trained together. I know there's a bit of a friendship. Was that ever something that you two ever discussed? Like if you ever fought each other? Now that she's in your weight class.
No, we never discussed this like possibility because she was fighting 115, I
That's
was
right. Yeah.
125, and it was like she is champion there, I'm champion here, so everyone is happy.
Yes, no, that definitely makes sense. I don't think we've spoken since Amanda Nunes retired in June at UFC 289. You're a little bit disappointed.
So Valentina really she didn't even entertain that question. Yeah, she didn't entertain that question at all. She seemed like she's not really interested in fighting Rose. And maybe, it's another one, and it wouldn't surprise me. And look, at this point, I wouldn't even care, man. You expect anything like that. There's a lot of that going on in MMA, in the UFC. We're two fighters at the top of the division, but they're friends or they're teammates, and they won't fight each other. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if if she even competes at the top of the division. Because from what I'm seeing, they have not ranked her. They haven't put her in the rankings at 125 yet. What is that all about? The rankings by now have always been updated. Fighters have all been moved back to their proper division, at least by Wednesday. By that Wednesday after the fight, Saturday. It's usually updated. Here we are, and this is Saturday. This is 7 days later. And she's still in 115, still in the strawweight division. What is that about? Are they sending a message to Rose like, hey, Rose, we know you're talking about fighting at 125, but we want you to stay at 115. Is that what that is? Are they telling her, yeah, you can fight at 125. Yeah, you're a flyweight now. Hey, meet Rose, the flyweight. Are they saying that to her? But yet behind the scenes, behind closed doors, refusing to change the rankings? Look, they moved her on the pound for pound list. It's not like they just forgot to update this thing. Now, I know, we really can't take the ranking seriously, because they don't know what they're doing. They're always changing stuff. Y'all remember they had Wei Lee as the number one pound for pound. And next to Wei Lee's and Grasso's name was a number one. They were both, I guess, ranked at number one. Now they moved it back and put Grasso back at number one, which is incredible. And there's a lot of people who want Grasso to stay the champion. They like the idea of a cute little champion, for whatever reason. We're just very receptive to the female gender. We're very receptive to attractiveness in a female. There's no way around it. Whether or not we agree with it is irrelevant. Men are more receptive to attractive women. That's just how it is. And I honestly believe that the UFC wants Grasso to stay the champion. Like I've said before, they already starting to capitalize on the fact that she's champion. How many of y'all noticed that? UFC wasted no time trying to capitalize on having a Mexican champion. Y'all notice they're having the fight, they're having a rematch on this Mexican holiday. Isn't that right? What holiday is that? September Mexican holiday. Right? What is that? Mexican Independence Day. Mexican Independence Day. How about that? How about that? She wins the title And they say, you know what, Alexa? Hey, come here, girl. We're going to put you on the main event. Mexican Independence Day. They probably tried to actually host an event in Mexico. And an event in, say, like Mexico City, that would do far better than an event. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I was about to say did an event in Kyrgyzstan, but probably not. But it would still be huge. And it seems like UFC is more likely to go back to Mexico than they are. They've never been to Kyrgyzstan, as far as I'm aware. And I was even thinking Russia. If they have a UFC Russia, I would think they would definitely want Shevchenko on that card because she's originally Russian. So, yeah, interesting little development there. But Grasso is such an unexpected champion. And the thing is, Shevchenko should win the fight. Based on what we've seen from them, Valentina is more complete. The problem is that Grasso can neutralize Valentina's wrestling. That is what makes the fight more difficult for Valentina. People, there's a good chance we're going to see exactly how good Valentina is. This may very well be a true test of how good she is. And she has to lay it all out. She has to force these girls to deal with the full onslaught of her offense. She has to. Because she cannot afford to go out not swinging. The worst thing she can do is fail to get the belt back after a lackluster performance. Fail to get the belt back after looking like the same old Valentina we've been seeing. If she fails to get the belt back, she needs to fail to get it back while looking more ferocious than we've ever seen her. You see what I mean? She needs to look more violent than we've seen her in the past. If she loses after looking scary, if she goes out there and she's looking like some killer, looking scary, and then she gets clipped or she loses somehow, like if she's looking scary, then most likely she's going to win a decision. Throwing flurries, that's aggression. It makes you look scary. So if she's looking scary and dangerous, either she's going to win a decision or she's going to stop Alexa Grasso. And I think the best way for her to stop her is by TKO. She's going to have to tee off on Alexa Grasso. Okay? This is a difficult fight because, for whatever reason, Grasso seems able to neutralize Valentina's wrestling, something that most fighters are not able to do. And when Valentina is forced to strike with you, and you're a pretty decent striker, she is not that dominant. Quite often, she's not that dominant. And quite often, she's uncomfortable just having a purely striking bout. If it's neck and neck, if you're kind of even with them. To strike with Grasso, you have to be superior. You got to be superior. So Valentina needs to do everything better than Grasso. Now she's training Muay Thai. Her plan is to incorporate more Muay Thai. Look, I say good. Because Grasso's not, so you may as well. And that will enable Valentina to fight close. Get close to Grasso, use elbows. Something we really don't see Valentina doing. As much as she's associated with Muay Thai, we rarely see her throwing elbows. Muay Thai clinch, knees to the stomach. Maybe she could do more of that. I always co-sign using more Muay Thai, especially against a fighter with a boxing style. Absolutely. There should have been, I said that. There should have been more kicks. Because Grasso most likely is not going to try to grab her legs and take her down. You're just going to land those kicks. Should have been tearing Grasso's body up and her head, just kicking her, using more kicks. Okay, and she's going to have to crank it up, in my opinion. In order to win this fight, in order to take this belt back, she got to look better than she's looked in the past. Okay, in order to win a decision, and in order to stop Grasso, Valentina got to look better than she's looked in the past. More aggressive, more tenacious, more violent. She's got to look scarier. Even if that means, better thinking. She has to be all over Grasso. She has to be on point. She can't afford to look confused. She can't afford to look like she lacks confidence. She got to look like the boss. She got to be the boss. This is one of the most difficult rematches to win for Valentina. That's just how it is. Because it's so unlikely that she knocks Grasso out. And Grasso has shown that she can land on Valentina, on a fresh Valentina. That's bad news. That's bad news. She proved she can land on a fresh. Now, maybe Valentina wasn't herself. And I'm telling you, it seemed like Valentina wasn't herself. Somebody else said that. Another fighter said that, mentioned that. Said she seemed like something was wrong with her. It's almost like she was sick, like she was fighting with a cold or something. But she just did not seem herself. I've always been a critic of Valentina's aggression, but it seemed like she was less aggressive than she usually is. Just being honest, she seemed turned down a notch in that fight. But the thing is, out of respect for Grasso, I've been crediting Grasso for that. And rightfully so, maybe. There may be a reason why Valentina wasn't as aggressive as she usually is. A reason why she wasn't trying to crank it up. It's because Grasso was giving her stuff to think about. Grasso was a good fighter. We got to accept that. She got really good speed. Fighters respect her power. You don't see fighters just trying to walk through her power. Fighters look like they're not looking forward to absorbing her punches. And, Valentina, in most ways, is evenly matched with Grasso. So, tough fight for Valentina, man. And that's why I'm taking Grasso. I'm picking Grasso because it's, in my opinion, it's going to require such a monumental performance that I'm not going to predict the best performance of Valentina's career. Now, that being said, she's probably the most capable of pulling it off. All that said, we got to respect that woman. She has immense experience. Immense experience. She has more experience than we can imagine, than we personally can imagine. We can't even relate to what she's learned and been through and been taught, seen and heard, accomplished in martial arts. She got to show it in this fight. She gonna need power from everywhere possible. She needs to call on every experience in her life, from childhood to now. She needs a groundbreaking performance, a performance that sends a warning to everybody else in the division. Because right now it's looking like all the fighters are for the most part evenly matched. And the thing is, they've been pulling Valentina into that. Whereas before, Valentina was seen as far ahead of the pack. Now, the Valentina is much closer to the pack. Now it's getting to the point where Shevchenko's looking like just another good fighter at 125. Oh, throw Rose in the mix too. So Valentina needs a performance that will put distance between herself. And I know this is what she wants. Valentina, I don't care what she says in front of the camera, I believe she would much rather prefer to be a super dominant champion, where she goes in there, is not taking no punishment, is punishing her opponents and taking her belt home. Preferably getting a stoppage. Okay, that is what she wants. And that's the kind of performance that she needs to pull out of the bag here. And she's probably, no, not probably. I would say it's between her, Valentina, Tatiana Suarez, and Erin Blanchfield. Three of some of the most tenacious fighters out there. Tenacity is a huge factor. It's so huge with women because the big factor is a lack of aggression. I'm sitting here criticizing Valentina for what? A lack of aggression. Valentina needs a wicked, scary. She needs to go out here and put on an evil performance. And she can't hold back. Don't hold back one punch. Don't hold back one kick. Do not go home, watch the fight, and then say, I should have thrown more. You can't afford to do that again. That's how you lost the belt. So, wow. It's been a while, like, I've been unable to explain why I think this is such a massive rematch. Match in general. I've been unable to explain why I think this is such a huge, but I'm trying now. So the reason why I'm saying all this stuff, I'm trying to explain to you why I think this is not what the biggest rematch, championship rematch ever. And it's one of the most intriguing because of how much weight is on Valentina. To see any fighter under that much pressure to prove their salt. Because this is like, okay, Valentina, now prove that you're the best. This is like the fight to prove that she is that chick. Because if she loses, man, then people will say all this time Grasso has been able to beat Valentina. It's a case of styles make fights and just Valentina just hadn't come across the right style yet. Enormous pressure on this woman. It's the circumstances that surrounds the fight that makes it so huge. And it was her dominance before she lost the belt. So, like, no matter what, she is expected to maintain dominance over the other girls in the division. That is expected. In order to do that, man, you got to have some level of respect from them. Like, if Valentina goes out here, has a knockdown drag out, she's getting hit and she's hitting, they're having a war, there's blood everywhere, Valentina's taking shots, Alexa Grasso taking shots, Valentina stumbles, she falls, Valentina almost gets stopped, she almost gets submitted, and then Valentina stops Alexa Grasso. Let's say it's a fight like that. Man, these girls will be licking their chops They're going to get on social media and talk about how they're going to rip Valentina's head off. You let Valentina take the belt back in that fashion, where it's a back and forth, knockdown, drag out. Do you know how bad Macy Barber's going to lick her chops at the opportunity to get her hands on Valentina? Because Alexa Grasso can't go blow for blow with Macy Barber. Or wait a minute, what am I talking about? I did not mean to say that. I meant to say the reverse of that. Macy Barber can't go blow to blow with Alexa Grasso. What am I talking about? You get my point. Alexa Grasso has an awkward style for Valentina. Because Valentina is such a calculated striker, and it requires Grasso's style requires that you become more aggressive if you want to defeat her striking with her. So no matter how you slice it, you always go back to Valentina needing to be more aggressive. Crank up the aggression. I believe a far above average level of aggression is why Erin Blanchfield is at the top of the division, being talked about as a title contender. It's primarily because of her far above average aggression. No doubt. That's why she got so many haters already. People are already critical of Erin, talking about how slow she is. She looked like a marshmallow man, stubby arms, she ain't got no form, unesthetic. Like, yeah, this chick ain't that good. Right? They're saying that already. But her aggression, it's hard to match her aggression. So we will see. This is not only the biggest rematch or title fight ever, in my opinion, in WMMA. This is the biggest challenge I've seen any woman be faced with. I know Pena taking the belt from, that was bad too, but Valentina had made more the title defenses at the weight than Nunes. So on paper, Valentina, it was more monumental. I never really seen a fighter faced with such a challenge. It's like I almost feel sorry for Valentina. It's like, man, I would not want to be faced with a challenge like that. But at the same time, I don't have Valentina's experience. I don't have her wisdom, her experiences. So she's much better equipped to deal with a challenge like this than I am. But the challenge is mind-blowingly massive. Now, I'm not sitting here with my fingers crossed hoping that Valentina loses the rematch. Not at all. I think Valentina would be I think she's the best candidate to be champion. She's the best representative of the champion, of a champion in the division. I still believe that. As far as being well-rounded, compare Valentina to Natalia Silva, for example. Silva don't really show you the wrestling that Valentina shows you. She really doesn't show you that type of grappling. With Silva, it's more like get back to my feet, stuff your takedown attempt. She's not taking you down and trying to maul you like Valentina is. Valentina is more well-rounded, and she's better at more things than the other girls. But that said, Grasso is just a difficult, very difficult task. He said Valentina is a martial artist, but Alexa is a real scrapper, right? And it's not until you try to tee off on Grasso. That's the biggest problem with Grasso that makes her annoying to fight. When you try to tee off on her and crank up the aggression, she responds by cranking up aggression as well. So now you got to crank up the aggression even more. You're trying to maintain dominance. That's all a flurry is. Flurry combination, yeah, you're trying to knock them out, but if you're not knocking them out, the main thing, I'm trying to establish that I'm the superior fighter here. Stay in your place. And it's very frustrating when a fighter refuses to submit to your superiority. So yeah, we will see. You say Valentina's ego is enormous. She will be motivated, probably like we've never seen her. She is ticked off about her loss. That is what I'm saying. She needs to be that way. She needs to be ticked off, feel embarrassed, and she needs to be dying to get back in there and try to absolutely destroy Alexa Grasso. She needs to come in here and start whipping off shots that sound like firecrackers on Alexa Grasso when she lands them. Tearing her up and making a statement. She needs to punish this girl for taking her belt. Punish her and send a message and make it known. Make us, the viewers, feel like you're angry. Like, man, Valentina is pissed. Oh boy. Is Grasso gonna make it? Is she gonna? It needs to be one of those types of fights. Man, please. If I were training Valentina, if I had anything to do with her training camp, man, those girls who fight her, if you don't stop her, man, you would get stopped yourself. Like if I could control Valentina, man, work with her abilities, she has the skill set and ability, well-roundedness, I think, to beat everybody. Whether or not she can actually use her skill set to do that, that's a different story. That's very common in combat sports. A lot of fighters have more skills and they're more well-rounded than some of the higher fighters. It's because they don't have the ability to apply those skills properly. Mixed martial arts, pretty complex art. Yeah, that's why I respect it. And yeah, the boxing fans, yes, I will always be a fan of boxing. And boxing is very complex. It's a fine knit art. But if you give MMA a chance, you'll understand that it's just as artful. Just as artful or artistic as boxing. So we will see what happens. I'll probably talk about this fight again before it actually happens. Because it's, in my opinion, the biggest rematch, title fight, women's fight ever. It's up there. See, you thought Amanda did a great job versus Irene, those leg kicks against a boxer. Yeah, where was the leg kicks against Grasso? Grasso should have barely been walking. And the thing is, Grasso don't move that much. It's not that hard to kick her legs. You got a girl in front of you who primarily wants to box and you're a Muay Thai fighter. You would think Grasso would barely be standing after a few rounds. She was still there. And I think her family in Thailand saw that and they're like, no, this is not Valentina. We can do better than that. So I think actually going to Thailand was a good thing for her. Go back to your roots. Get that feeling of going back to your roots. And I think that, yeah, the absolute best thing she could have done. Go back to your roots. And not only that, crank it up some. Crank up the aggression. Incorporate more Muay Thai. There should have been more leg kicks. Alexa Grasso style. She just begging to have her legs destroyed. Like, don't you think a female version of Israel Adesanya would have destroyed Grasso's legs? Would have tore her legs up. And the body. Where was the body kicks? There was a lot on Grasso. A lot of Grasso's body that was unpunished by Valentina. She cannot do that again. She got to go in here and show out. And I like it. I love the fact that there's a bunch of pressure on Valentina to be a monster. That's exactly what I could have wished for. The MMA guys, how you talk about, that's one of the things I would have asked for. Like, please, can y'all just turn Valentina into a killer? Turn her into that killer that we saw her as when she destroyed Priscilla Cachoeira. That version of Valentina was very scary. And looking back on it, that fight looks even more impressive now because Priscilla is fairly competitive. She's had some epic stoppages. He said the coach on his channel said that Valentina was in fact injured during that fight. Of course, that wasn't disclosed by the team. That would not surprise me. That's very believable. And I avoid making excuses for fighters after a fight when there's clearly nothing wrong with them. And but Valentina in that fight just looked like it was a different performance. We'll see how she looks in the rematch. Pretty amped for this. But I'm going to take Alexa Grasso. Some people have been thinking that I'm rooting for Grasso or that I want Grasso. It's nothing like that. Nothing like that. I just think this is an unbelievably big task and challenge for anybody. While I'm taking Grasso, I think Valentina, if anybody could pull this off, it would be her. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If Valentina takes that belt back, it has to be a very dominant performance like what we saw Nunes have against Pena. Nunes was stopped when she lost her belt, and she won her belts back by decision. Why? Because it was a very dominant performance. Valentina she needs a performance like that. If it's close, far too likely that it's going to Alexa Grasso, especially on Mexican Independence Day. Valentina needs to shine. She needs to shine. I'm not saying that as a fan of Valentina. I'm saying that that's just what she needs. So yeah, that's a massive calling. And I got to pick Alexa Grasso. I got to pick Alexa Grasso on this one. Wow. All right, shout out to everybody. Join me in this live stream, and I will see y'all on the next.